Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about GameStop. Now, and other game stores too. Now basically, GameStop is a game store you'll find literally everywhere. There's a GameStop in every single mall except for like the abandoned mall. Even they had one until not long ago. And basically, they sell video games. Now, basically they sell everything that is newish, like the oldest stuff they sell is 360. They just stopped selling PS2 games. And of course, they basically, you go in, they pay not that much, not that high of a price for it, because they look up in a database and that tells them how much they want to pay. They won't pay you crap. But basically, then it doesn't matter if it's scratched or not. They'll just throw it up there. If it's scratched, they might put it in a thing, send it away to their refurbishing plant, or they'll basically refurbish the game, get their resurfacing thing, and just resurface it and then mail it back because GameStop is too lazy to buy a resurfacing. So if you get like a game that they don't have many copies of, like a JRPG or something like that, they won't be able to give you another copy of it unless, of course, you run out to yet another GameStop in some other place and they go ahead and give you a new copy or something. It's kind of dumb, really, but there's other game stores too. Like, of course, the problem with GameStop is they're nearly the only game store in most places. Sure, there are other ones, but they don't sell new games like GameStop does. Speaking of new games, the new games at GameStop aren't really new. They just go in. I've heard stories where people have even checked out new games. Especially if you're going to make a review show, this would be a useful tool. You could go out to GameStop, check out a new game. Kaboom, if you work there, and you could return it and they'll still sell it as new. I've heard of people doing that before, and not only that, but you know the dumbest part, the thing is they can get away with it, and they just put a little tape thing over the where you open up the game and they'll say it's new to them, even though it's not really new. The only problem is there are many games you can only find at GameStop that you can't find at your local Walmart because Walmart didn't sell very many copies of it, like RPGs and stuff. But then you've also got, when you buy the used games, they're never in good shape. They've always been thrown around, used as frisbees by the last few people. They've got scratches everywhere, and then when they sell them with no case, they just print out a case with the world's cheapest plastic that smells like a pool toy. I'm not making this up. And then if you they're so flimsy, they don't even shut right. The game discs don't even fit right. They gave me one of those when I bought a 3DS game, and the case couldn't even accommodate the extra notch. It was a nightmare trying to take the game home. But then also at GameStop, you've got their refurbished systems. Their refurbished systems, all they do is heat gun it, and then they'll literally buy any system you take in, even if it's a piece of junk. They'll buy it. I'm not making this up. But anyways, yeah, basically, and the dumbest part about GameStop, the dumbest part is the employees are nubs. You go in. Hey, would you like to pre-order frickin' Adventure Time? This is what they actually told me. They went in, they're like, do you want to pre-order Adventure Time? I'm like, no, I don't want to pre-order that. And they're like, do you want to pre-order Black and White 2? And pre-ordering, I mean, I don't even do that anymore, because half the time I pre-order a game, I get disappointed. And I haven't even pre-ordered, last time I pre-ordered was Black Ops 2, because I knew I was going to want that game. I had a friend who basically pirated an early copy. He told me it was so much better. Ended up getting it. It was actually better, but that's off topic. The thing is, it's when they tell you to pre-order random crappy games, and they take your $5, and you forget about the pre-orders, and then you basically are too late, and many people are too lazy to take that money out. And then the cards you get, they can be pretty useful though. I mean, I've used them to knock off prices of many different games. I've used them to get games cheaper, but the problem is, unless you use the store a lot, it's not really worth it that much, and even with the card, you could get it at Amazon cheaper all the time. I'm serious. If you want to buy used games, just go to Amazon. They're so much cheaper, and they always have what you want. Unlike GameStop, but even though GameStop might be kind of a dumpy-ish place where they always want to sell you Adventure Time games, it could be worse. Independent game stores suck more. I'm serious. Independent game stores make GameStop look good. Well, many of them do. There are some good independent game stores. There was one I went in and they let me open up a box and they had all these loose discs lying around. Sure, many were scratched up, but I was able to get good deals on a few of them. Was able to get Power Stone 2 for only $20 at one game store back when I was still a Sega freak, and basically I was able to get games cheaply there. And yeah, basically there are many game stores that are independent that can give you good deals, but there are also game stores that are independent. You go in, they try to rip you off. Like, there's one game store where I live. They're an independent game store. Initially, I was getting some good deals from. Then, when you try to sell them, they'll just pull a price out of your book. Like, how much do you want for it? I'm like, I don't know. Normally, they'll just put a price on the games normally. Because, like, at GameStop, they go on, look up their database. Sometimes they'll look up their database, and then they'll seriously lowball. Like, you know how there's a Game Dude database where many independent game stores use that for how much they should price their games? These guys would seriously lowball. So you wouldn't get shit for a copy of a game that would sell for like $20-$30 on Amazon, which I regret doing. Then I went up to another game store. They had a copy of Deus Ex Invisible War, which is like $2 on Amazon. They had that game for just $8, but it was a PAL version, so you need a hard modded Xbox to play it. If you got a modded Xbox, you're probably pirating the games anyway. So I'm like, do you have it in NTSC? And they don't even bother to check their whole stash of discs, and they're like, no. So I'm like, do you have a copy of Final Fantasy Tactics? Which is another game I'm like, and they're like, no. And then I asked for them to see how much, if I could sell games, and they're like, you gotta be 18 with ID. Seriously? That's even worse than GameStop. I mean, at least GameStop, you can sell games, and you can be an underage 5-year-old, and you can still sell games to GameStop. Possibly. I mean, I didn't sell games to GameStop when I was 5, but still. That's, I mean, and not only that, the only reason why they even have people going in there is because they sell what GameStop won't sell. Retro games, music, DVDs. If you want anything that isn't that, then you best be going to GameStop, because at least GameStop, they have a huge selection of 360 games on many of the smaller stores. Many of them, not all of them, there are some which have decent selections, but I've been into many of them, and they don't have any 360 games. Especially if the game store is located in a mall where there's a GameStop, because then GameStop will take all the 360 games, and then all the rejects, like Xbox original games they don't take, will go over to the other game store. Because, seriously, if you go into the other game store, you'll see piles and piles of Xbox original games. I went in and looked back there. They had a giant stack of Xbox original discs, and then a giant stack of PS2 discs, and they had like no 360 games. And yeah, that's another thing. Some of them suck worse than others. Worst one I went to was that one I mentioned, where they wouldn't even pay crap for your games. You'd bring them in and they'd be like, yeah, $4. The guy freaking there said it would be $10 if it was in mint condition. This game was in mint condition. He said $4. Fuck this. I want to get games. Can they at least be consistent or use a database instead of just half-assing the prices? And at one point, I wanted to buy a Sega CD. They're like, oh, we only sell the Sega CD with the system. I asked because they had like the Sega CD with a Genesis. They wanted $100 for it. I mean, come on, seriously? $100? And then right next to it was a CDX for $100. And then they had like an XI for $200. I mean, and people wonder why they emulate. It's because retro gaming's too expensive. And then I look around at the games at the store. They've got Chrono Trigger for like $70 to $80. Final Fantasy 6 for $50 at this other store. You know, the one where they wouldn't even look for Invisible War. And then they've got Digimon World 2 for $60. And Yeah, they're selling these games for high prices. It's like, I'm serious. Makes you wonder if those people could have just sold on Amazon. They could have got $60 for that Digimon game. And then, the worst part one? Here's the worst game I saw. Earthbound, loose cartridge, for $200. Seriously. Now, $200 for a video game? Seriously, now I know it's rare, and it's got a cult following of 10-year-old kids who cry a lot, and it's super emo plot, and oh my god, Kiki is so scary. But yeah, it's just not that great, and they're selling that game for $200. Are you kidding me? $200? You better hope you find that game in a thrift store, because if you found it in a thrift store and sold that stuff on eBay, you'd have enough money to buy a PlayStation Vita or a 3DS, depending on which brand you fab to more. But seriously, I'm not making this up. $200 for a video game, and then over in a corner they've got a CDI for just $250, but they don't even have the games out. Like, I'm kidding you not. It's in a beat-up box, which looks like it had possibly been waterlogged. They're selling a CDI for $250. I'm not making this up. I know it's rare stuff, but seriously, this is why people use emulators. Because of all these collectors who are jacking the prices up for everybody else. I mean, you can't even buy anything because apparently, oh my god, retro gaming. Because of all this stuff now, games that are common, like Super Nintendo games, like, I don't know, Super Mario World. That game, Super Mario All-Stars, like $30 to $40. The one with Super Mario World, they had 2 copies of it, by the way. It was $50. And then they had Snatcher for the Sega CD for $250, which you could have just burnt if you could beg your parents for a CD burner. I'm not making this up. Game stores, they freaking are ripoffs. And not just that, but retro gaming in general is a ripoff. And they wonder why people use emulators? It's because, would you rather use an emulator with an ISO or pay $100 and then $250 just to play Snatcher, so $350 just to play one game? That is all. Because honestly, game stores in general, they're a ripoff. It doesn't matter if they say GameStop or some other game store. 99% of the time they're a ripoff. They never have what you want. They're stupid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. And please, if you want to buy used games, go to Amazon. If you want to sell used games, go to Amazon. You'll get your full price, what you want. You can sell game systems there. You'll get paid big money. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.